All right, welcome back to another episode of the Dynasty Pros Devy Show. I am Tommy Harvey alongside SC Romero and Andy Pham. And tonight we're discussing Week 12. That comes up next. All right, guys, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good.
All right, I kind of want to jump in this talking about a couple running backs. Let's kind of start with the premier running back matchup of the weekend. We got DJ Giddens against Devin Neal. Um, I'm a big fan of both these guys. I think DJ Giddens has the opportunity next year to run for 1,500 yards, especially if with Trayshawn Ward not being around. But that would kind of be the same thing this year with Devin Neal if Hishaw wasn't around too. Devin Neal is very explosive, but I think this is going to be a hell of a matchup in between those two guys.
Yeah, both running backs are really good. We've talked about them both, and I've mentioned Devin Neal is one of those underrated backs just in that class. I feel he's not necessarily your power bulk runner that you want to see in some of these, but I mean he gets it done. He's a nice running back. He has a nice footwork with him. He knows how to see, has great vision. Giddens is the same way, and that they both of them are really the driving force for their offenses. So just look for it to be a ground and pound game, but an explosive one because both have that nice little acceleration to them.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Devin Neal. I actually have him inside my top 10 running back rankings overall. I mean, every time he's touched the ball, he's been efficient. He's been explosive. He does everything you see that you want to see in an NFL back. If he, I hope he comes out because this is a weak running back class. He could easily be the RB1, RB2 maybe if he tests really well and does all that. But he's got a lot of potential behind him.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of both these guys. I've gotten DJ Giddens anywhere I can possibly get him in C2C leagues. Big fan of his. Um, you know, Next topic we got CJ Baxter. With Jonathan Brooks going down for the season, it's going to be CJ Baxter's job going forward. Especially that primary running back role. Obviously, Jadon Blue's probably going to have a little bit of run also, but for the most part, it's probably going to be CJ Baxter. What are we looking for here? Are we looking for him to really show off those skills that made him a 5-star running back? Is he going to be better than what Jonathan Brooks was? Because Brooks was awfully good before he went down.
What are we looking for? Yeah, you definitely want to see it. I don't necessarily expect him to go out there and explode out the gate, right? Get his feet under him. He's gotten some run here and there, but you do. I'm curious to see if they do get Jadon Blue, a little bit of run because before Baxter was even going there, to me, he was the next one up, and then it wasn't even him. We had Brooks come up, and it just seems he was kind of forgotten. So I think he's someone too that if he wants to enter that transfer portal and go somewhere, he needs to try to step up and make a little bit of a name and a little buzz for him as well. But Baxter, I mean, uh, he doesn't need to show that he's RB1 of the 2026 class right now, but I do just want to see it. I just want to see the fun, exciting running back I was seeing in high school, just on this level.
I think timing wise is perfect. As a true freshman, as the season gets on, he gets more comfortable in the system in the offense. He's had a couple of big runs when he has the opportunity. So, I think he's gonna show himself well, and that deserving of that RB1, RB2 of this freshman class coming in. So I think he'll do well. I think Jadon Blue, I think he'll excel in that passing role spot. And then I think Jadon Blue should transfer out if he has a good showing, to finish off the season.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Blue transferring out. He's got to go to a better situation for himself if he has hopes of moving to the next level. Without putting anything on tape, it's really hard for these teams to know what you got. But another guy I'm wanting to talk about, guy that is getting really harder and harder to deny that had him having him having next level talent is A&M Hampton, running back from North Carolina. Just the season he's been putting up, in a Power 5 conference. You look at his body type. You look at the fact that he's able to catch the ball out of the backfield. He may be a little stiff at times, but from what I see about him, he could easily be a top 3-4 running back in the 2025 class.
Agreed, and he was someone that coming out, he was one of my top running backs for the class. But last year, we thought Singleton and Junkins were running away with it, and this year I think we're noticing it's a lot closer than what last year showed. We're just seeing these guys getting reps, which just shows the importance of some running backs where they don't necessarily need to be, a 3-year starter or anything like that. They just need to get that opportunity and a chance to sign for a season, and that can showcase everything you need to see, right? And I think we're seeing a lot of Amarian happen. It's going to be nice seeing him again next year, because I think he can make that run to be one of your better running backs in the class next year.
Yeah, I'm actually I'm getting more excited about the 2025 running back class than I am the 2024 running back class now. I mean, you're gonna have Judkins and Singleton and Katron Allen and Ollie Gordon and A&M Hampton. That's solid.
Mm-hmm. I actually told someone today because they were asking about just my rankings, and I was like, honestly, the wide receiver and quarterback room for the 24 class is miles ahead of the 25, and then the running back room I'm liking more as well in the 25 though.
Yeah. And then the last running back I'm wanting to bring up tonight is guy that I've talked about before. Been really high on him moving into in this upcoming draft season. Blake Watson. Just kind of reminds me of that Jerick McKinnon type of running back. Good enough runner, but really, really good receiver out of the backfield. I think he has NFL written all over him.
I like him. I think he can be an NFL back. I don't necessarily think he's, to me, something similar to what you see in your Memphis backs. They have a good run. They can be in there and get the yards you need, but I don't think he's necessarily someone that's going to be your full season starter. I think he gets some spot starts, and when he does show out, he has great success. But for him, I think to have that ticket in the NFL, he's going to have the hot hand when he gets the opportunity.
I think he's what the Chiefs wanted CEH to be. So I think you could easily get him at a discount rate and a day 2, early day 3 kind of a guy. So if he goes late day 2 to a playoff contender, that could be a good spot for him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk some Pac-12 football here, guys. We got. This is obviously going to be the final year of the Pac-12. We may as well squeeze as much juice out of this as we possibly can with them. Obviously, Washington, Oregon, UCLA, USC going to the Big Ten. Cal and Stanford headed to the ACC, which is weird, but whatever. And then you got the teams going to the Big 12, but now you got Washington State and Oregon State headed to the Mountain West. Speaking of Washington State and Oregon State, how about we dive into this Oregon State game?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be. It's almost like they're the last line of defense for Oregon to have a possible opportunity. We might see Oregon Washington in the championship. I mean, this is what they. This is going to be one of their tougher defenses. We saw Washington have a little bit of some struggle against Utah. Oregon State has a good defense as well, so they can show out. But when Michael Penix is slacking, if you will, Dylan Johnson's coming out and doing great, right? So they're showing they're a complete offense, more so than what we saw earlier in the season, I think. And this is going to be a fun game to watch because Oregon State can score in bunches too. They have a pretty quick offense as well. So, I mean, if any of the teams in the Pac-12 can go toe-to-toe at Washington, it's possibly Oregon State just because they can turn the ball over on defense and they can score pretty quickly.
Yeah, and little note on Washington, it looks like Jalen McMillan is probably going to be available more so than what he has been the past few weeks. So that would be big for the Huskies, especially moving forward if they were to win this game moving forward into that Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, with this game, I really like Oregon State. I think I think that defense is going to stop Washington, and then on the offense, I think they're just going to run the ball with Martinez and Fenwick, and it's going to eat up time of possession, and then once in a while throw in that big chunk play for DJU to try to get to Silas Bolden. I really see this game as a game where Washington is looking at, what, all we have to do is just beat them, and then we're going to be in the playoffs somehow, some way, and then Oregon State's going to be like, no, 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 you're not. And this is for Oregon State. This is their game because all this talk about the Pac-12 and all that, Oregon State gets no love. The Big 12 didn't want them. The Big 10 didn't want them. The AAC didn't, or the ACC didn't want them. So like they're gonna come out and show out and say, you guys didn't want us. Well, here we are. This is who we are.
Like, it's funny that you say that, Oregon State possibly has this game, because you think about when Oregon went crazy, their team that always beat them was Utah. I mean, yeah, they just had a tough defense, and possibly it is Oregon State is that defense that opens up Washington to say, wait, hold on, it's not only about offense. Our defense needs to be stout too. And they're good, but I mean, Oregon State just has that better defensive run right now.
Well, you just mentioned Utah. Let's talk about them going up against Arizona here. Utah has really, really good safeties, and Jacob Cowing is probable to play. So that should be a really good matchup in between the Utah secondary and the Arizona wide receivers with Tet McMillan and Jacob Cowing and Lamonius Craig.
Yeah, agreed. Utah has, Cole Bishop. I've talked about him many times. You've talked about him. A top talent. I think he can have a first round prospect, if you will. He's just all over the field. He's very smart. He has a great IQ and he hits pretty well. And then you talk about Sione Vaki. He's just an athlete. I mean, they have this guy running offensive routes too, and he's making big plays. In some weeks, he's been their leading receiver, or their leading running back, scoring and yardage. So he's definitely a versatile athlete that Arizona's going to need to watch out for. He could be the deciding factor just if he gets that offensive playing time. If Cowing's out, that may hurt Arizona a little bit. And I'm not going to say his name correctly, Fafisa, but their quarterback for Arizona. But Cowing's a nice guy. He's a good under the radar wide receiver. I like him a lot. But Tet McMillan, if he's out, this is a good week to show out, because again, we've seen what Utah can do to some of these top tier teams, so to say, against the Pac-12. So if he can come out and just have a ball game against them, it'll show a lot about his draft stock, I think.
Yeah, I think for Arizona, they're going to need Jonah Coleman at the running back position. Every time he touches the ball, he's so efficient. He's got the juice. When either out of the backfield or in the receiving game, when he touches the ball, he's electric. So I think with Utah having the safeties back, they're going to have to cover the pass. They're going to be playing in a light box. So just give the ball to Jonah Coleman.
Yeah, Coleman's averaging 7.4 yards a carry this year. He's second in the conference in yards per carry. So it's like you said, he has the juice. You get him the ball, especially in the open field, he's going to do something special with it. All right, next game we got here, Washington State and Colorado. Both teams started out hot, 7-0 combined to start the season, but since week 4 they are 1-12. What do you guys have to say about these two teams?
Disappointment. That's just, I mean, it was fun watching them at the very beginning of the season. It was like, wow, these are some guys that are going to be upsetting some teams, and really every team is like, oh yeah, they can upset them. They have really not. So I mean, their quarterbacks were phenomenal. I love Shadur Sanders. I love Cameron Ward. They're both some great quarterbacks, but their defenses haven't sold out when they needed to, and their offenses really don't have weapons you're hearing in circles or anything like that, if that makes sense. There's no one that you're just talking about or raving about on their offense outside of their possible quarterbacks. So to me, at this point for them, I think it's just who wants it more, who wants to not put their head down, who actually wants to hold their head up high and go out there and compete and show, look, we are a good team. We've just had some bad luck. I mean, because they're both in the same boat. There's no excuse here. They both start off really good, and then they have just done nothing the past few weeks, and it's just been looking horrendous for them on every avenue, really.
And with the who wants it more, tactic, Colorado needs to win out to make a bowl. So Coach Prime has been, on the team about how they need to play better. They need to win these next two games. So I think if it's who wants it more, I think Colorado definitely wants it more. Just to me, this might be a game where who has the ball last, and that's the team that's going to win.
Yeah, this looks like a shootout waiting to happen. We're probably looking at like a 48-45 type of game here, in my opinion. Oh, we also got USC and UCLA here. This may be Caleb Williams' last game in college. Do you guys think he hits that opt out for the bowl game?
I At this point, I kind of do. I mean, I just don't know. The thing with him the past few weeks has been his off the field responses and how he's been in certain areas towards the media and stuff. And it just feels like, yeah, he is. He already knows he's potentially the number one draft pick. I mean, we've seen it many times before where we thought this guy was going to go, and then that team picks someone completely off the radar. Not even saying Drake May. Maybe they go Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't know. But if he already knows or has confidence in that, why risk anything? I mean, we go back to Jonathan Brooks having a fantastic season, going into possibly a day 2 pick, tears his ACL, and now it's like, man, it's done. I have to wait another year. So I mean, like Caleb, not that the ACL would he wouldn't enter, but I mean that would definitely push him down, right? You would have to put Drake May or someone else, maybe JJ McCarthy, ahead of him at that point at that quarterback if something tragic happens. So I mean, for him, I think he knows his capital and what he's worth. So I mean, at this point with USC just not looking good at all, I mean, why? I think it is an opt out for him.
Yeah, he has too much to lose if he plays in the bowl game. There's no point, like had this be the last game against your crosstown rivals, show out, go 30 for 38, throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, and go out with a bang. There's no point in playing in the bowl game.
Yeah, I agree. So if he does opt out, who gets the call? Is it Miller Moss or is it Malachi Nelson?
I want to say Nelson. He's the freshman, right? You want to see him get some, but I mean they can also say no. We're gonna wait. Let's see what we have in Miller Moss, and if he doesn't have it, we know Nelson should have it. So I think it goes Moss, but I would prefer to see Malachi Nelson.
I hope it's Nelson. I mean, he's my QB1 of this freshman class, so I hope it's him. And he hasn't played in any of the games, so it's not like they're going to burn his red shirt if he does play. So I hope it's him. I mean, with Miller Moss, we've seen him in mop-up duty. He's okay, but he's not the future. I mean,
Right.
if you're gonna give the reins to someone, you're gonna give it to your highly touted freshman. So I hope it's
Right.
him.
Well, and as far as them burning his red shirt, I mean, the NCAA has changed the rule to where they're able to play in the bowl game without burning the red shirt, but I don't think they would even be worried about it, even if that was still a rule, because it's not like he's going to be there for 5 years, anyways.
Yeah.
Now, just a question on Caleb Williams. Do you think it's a different scenario if he's in the playoff contention? Does he?
Yeah. If they were fighting to make the playoffs, then sure. But I mean, I don't recall seeing anybody who's been trying to make who's been in playoff contention opt out in their for the playoff game. Have you?
Not since it's been around. That I think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. So I mean that would be something completely unheard of, and I would think be way off base for somebody to do that. To me, that if they're going into a national championship type scenario, I think that just kind of shows where your priorities are if you're going to opt out. Jimbo Fisher got the axe at Texas A&M. What do you guys think Connor Wigman and Evan Stewart do?
It's gonna matter on who comes in, right? On who's the official guy for them next year. I don't think they've made that, or I missed it if they did. Because both look great together. They have some chemistry together, and I'm sure they want to get back at it. So I think if the right guy comes in, both are okay staying. But more so if Evan Stewart left, it would possibly be to one of your higher rated SEC teams just because he's there. Maybe he goes to Georgia or Alabama or something just crazy that just has a little bit more exposure than what A&M does. But Connor Wyman, I don't necessarily see him transferring out.
With Evan Stewart, he was getting over 10 targets a game with Weigman before he got hurt, and ever since he got hurt, they just don't scheme him up to get him the ball. So he's got to be somewhat frustrated. I mean, he is a guy that's from Texas, so maybe he stays, but I don't know. I mean, I think it gives him that shot where if teams were to be calling, I think he would answer and take a long look because, he doesn't know who his coach is. The guy that recruited him got fired, so he doesn't really have any ties. So I think if anyone goes, it's Evan Stewart. But I think at the end of the day, it's how he feels about his quarterback. Does he want to play with him, or does he want to go elsewhere and try to improve his stock? He's my overall wide receiver 2, and ever since Weigman's been hurt, he's getting 2 catches, 3 catches a game. He's been out since late October, so I don't know. Maybe he's not happy.
That's fair. Let's go and jump into some college football playoff discussion here. Who's your guys' top 4? I can go and give you my top 4. It's Georgia. It would be the winner of Ohio State, Michigan, Florida State, and then the winner of Washington, Oregon in that Pac-12 game. Obviously, you're not. I'm not going to say Ohio State and Michigan just because they're going to play each other. So one of them is going to get knocked out of this. I think the winner of Washington State and Oregon gets that final spot. What do you guys think?
I agree, unless something catastrophic happens. Like, let's say Washington loses this week to Oregon State. Okay, you have Michigan, or let's say Michigan beats Ohio State. So you now have Georgia, Michigan, and now it's Oregon still Washington. If Oregon wins against Washington, they can go in there. But then if Texas wins out and Florida State loses, I think there's a scenario where we have Texas going in there as well. Right now, I mean, they would be the exact same where you're at, but I'm all for having some craziness and wild stuff happen in the playoffs. So if Texans wins out and these teams lose 1 or 2 in these final stretches, that would be fun to see too. I hope Alabama doesn't get in with that 1 loss and they just keep doing good. But part of me just feels it's like they're just gonna pull some stuff and have it happen, right? And I don't know. That would be tragic, though. I think you have to have the championship of the Pac-12 in there, and then your 3 other undefeated teams in Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia, and Florida State.
Well, I think obviously the only way Alabama is going to get in is if they beat Georgia. If they don't beat Georgia, then it doesn't matter. They're done. But I think they would have to beat. I mean, obviously, in order to get in, they're going to have to beat Georgia, but they would have to anyways to leapfrog Texas if Texas wins out.
Yeah, I think Florida State has the easiest schedule, so I think they're a lock. I do think Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, and I think Alabama gets in. So my 4 is Michigan, Georgia, Florida State, and Alabama, and then Ohio State's going to be the team left out. I think they'll be 5th. I don't think the committee cares about the Pac-12. So also I think Oregon State beats Washington this week. So for me that kind of hurts them because that's just how I have it.
So that Washington Oregon matchup in the Pac-12 championship loses a lot of luster, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and they love the SEC. So if they can get Alabama and Georgia in there, they'll somehow figure it out.
Yeah, I just don't think the SEC deserves 2 teams this year, and I say that coming from SEC country, but I personally don't see it from Alabama. I know that they're 9-1, but just watching them play, I mean, yeah, they've gotten better as the season's progressed, but that 17-point output against South Florida is still there. That still happened, right?
Yeah.
So.
It's funny. I mean, on the flip side, though, where they're saying they don't love the Pac-12. I mean, we're talking about how this has been one of their better years, and they're just completely going away. So it could be like, look, this is y'all need to watch these teams when they go to these other conferences too. So that could be a reasoning why they try to get them in. I mean, if it happens, right? I mean, the cards have to fall in line, but a reason why you do see them in there as well. But I mean, at that point, Washington or Oregon against Georgia or Michigan right now is pretty scary. I don't, Michigan has a solid defense. Georgia has a good defense. But you can even throw in Florida State has a pretty nice defense. So those three defenses alone can beat every offense in the Pac-12. So it'll be nice to see your two top-tier Pac-12 air raid teams go in there and try to be like, okay, let's see if you can still do it against these talented defenses.
Right. Well, all right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's show. I hope everybody enjoys this weekend's slate of games. As always, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave us comments. Go follow us on Twitter at Dynasty Pros FF. I'm Tommy Harvey. Follow me at Dynasty Pros Tom. SC Romero at the PPR Show, and Andy Pham at Andy_Pham1. Go to dynastyprosfootball.com. Look at all of our content. Again, interact with us on Twitter. Shoot us some comments. And y'all just enjoy your weekend. Guys, do you have anything else to add? What all you guys been working on this week?
Just got the Start Street article dropped today for the NFL. Got my rankings coming out later today. They've been jumbling everywhere, so that'll be exciting to see. And then, every day we do a thread, and then on Tuesdays we have that IDDP article going for Dynasty Pros.
And every Thursday, we're dropping a player profile to get you ready for the 2024 draft. And then Fridays, we drop a Devy and C2C games to watch. And then Monday, we do a recap with Devy stock up, stock down, and C2C names to watch.
There you go. Go check out the content, and we will see you guys on Tuesday, I guess. See you guys.